YouTube, not so high-pitched, I did not want that. Hello YouTube, so today we're going to actually be talking about processing issues as far as education wise. This video was actually another suggested video, which I'm so happy you guys are suggesting me videos. I've been trying to keep up with the comments, but it is getting just a little bit hard kind of tracing like the where they're coming from and everything. So I am trying to keep up with that, so I apologize if I haven't responded. I am actually doing this video because of this comment. They just wanted to kind of know a little bit more about how I process things in hopes that it will kind of help them with their children or their child that I believe is autistic. First, I just want to preface this. Again, I know I haven't mentioned it a whole lot, but I also have ADHD. I actually have no idea where the autism and the ADHD kind of interact with each other or where it begins and where it ends. The first subject is going to be on processing math. Now, this was the subject I had the hardest time with. I know that there's this whole thing where people think that people that are autistic are just great at math. A lot of us aren't great at math, a lot of us are. So with math processing, I was actually very good at addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. Those made a lot of sense to me, and the way that it had to be taught to me, in case you have a child that is younger than 3rd grade, definitely fingers wise. So I did learn from fingers. I also learned from like how to count things very quickly, because the way that I count things, and this is very elementary, I'm just talking about very basic math here. If I have, and I'm gonna have a lot of diagrams, so I left some room over here. If I have 5 ducks or chickens, 5 birds, you're thinking, okay, so I'm counting from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually intentionally taught myself 2 on this side, 3 on that side, 5. It's really hard when it's an even number for me. It's kind of hard unless it's 4. But if it's 8, I have to do 5 and 3. So that's kind of how I process things. I don't know if that's different than other people, but I also learned my even and odd numbers. As far as learning even numbers, instead of them saying if it ends in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, it's an even number, that wasn't simple enough for me. Like it is very simple, don't get me wrong, like if it ends in these numbers, yes, but I also needed to understand why it was odd. Like you can't just tell me if it ends in this it's odd. Like what does odd mean? I did not truly want to move on to the next thing. I don't like learning the next thing until I fully understand this very simple thing, and this started with even and odd numbers. I needed to know everything about how numbers worked before I could move on to the next thing, and I don't know if that really held me back. I feel like it probably did. The feeling that I felt when I would move to the next grade and we'd have to learn higher level maths, I would feel like, well, I wasn't done learning this math. Like I feel like there's so much to learn about this. Like I wanted to learn more about prime numbers, and at one point I actually memorized all the prime numbers to 100. So those are some things about the interest that I had in math, but the issues that I had with math were like how fast I could process something. I had very slow processing speeds when it came to learning new information, and I don't mean like twice as slow. I mean like 7 or 8 times as slow. The misconception is that if you can't learn it in that span of time, then you're never gonna get it. I want to say 100%, if you have a child with a learning disability or if they're autistic, I'm not sure like which characteristics this goes into, that does not mean that your child will never understand this. And I just want to say that, you know, because your child doesn't appear brilliant in school doesn't mean that they are not. I see myself as a pretty smart person, but I can appear very stupid. I'm just gonna put that out there. I can appear very, and I mean like I can come off as dumb as a brick. And I'm not saying this for everyone, like obviously, and I'm also not trying to hype up how stupid I can be. I can understand anything. I can learn anything. It might take me longer if it's not being explained the right way. The thing is, how is this information being delivered? If I am speaking Spanish to you, and I only speak Spanish and you only speak English, like we are not going to understand each other, and I say, well, you just don't understand this because you're stupid. It's like, no, you're speaking a completely different language. So kind of see it as that when it comes to teachers teaching your child. That's how it feels when I'm learning something that I feel like I should be getting, like everyone else is understanding it. Also want to say, your child probably knows that they're not understanding this information as quickly as the other students. It was very noticeable for me even at a young age. I was in 4th grade and I realized that there's something wrong, and I hate to say like that a learning disability is like something wrong with me, but that is actually how I felt. Having a learning disability, it can be so discouraging, but I'm just hoping that this video is helpful. My dad, when he was teaching me division, and which I still remember it to this day, and it took him a while to relearn it, of course, but he did this for me, which I greatly appreciate. He related the sign to a house, and the person outside the house wants to come into the house. He used analogies analogies, lots of visualization. I might be a more visual person, so your child could be more visual, or they may not need that aid. As a person that has a learning disability, I need to know how to undo something and redo it, because I've had to spend my entire life, especially in math, knowing how to check my work. Reading processing. I've never been one for like reading books. So I would read a book, I would read maybe 3 pages and then not know what the heck happened. I have very low comprehension for reading books unless it's something that interests me. The only books that have ever interested me were Goosebumps. What is his name? Stephen? No. James. It's James. James Patterson. Yeah, so those were the only books I would read as a kid and would actually kind of get through most of them. But I love reading articles. How to combat this, I don't know, because I'm thinking about, like, you know, you don't want your child to end up just, I almost said like me, but you know, you want your child to have an appreciation for school. I would say when you're at home, have them read something that they're interested in, so that at least they're reading. You know, when I was at school, I was like, I'm only learning a bunch of boring stuff at school, which you can't control what your child is learning at school, really. But what you can do is develop your child's love for reading at home, for things that they're interested in, because I love to read now. Like, I love reading, but I will only read things that I'm interested in. So English processing, now this is definitely different from reading, and I'm able to distinguish that. I didn't know that before, because my ACT scores were astronomically high in English, and then I did not benchmark any other subject, and reading is one of those other subjects. I absolutely loved English class. I loved learning new vocabulary words. It does come in handy when I'm writing a paper, because I'm already aware of these words that are in the back of my mind, and so I always have a synonym for something. In high school, I realized I wasn't the best writer, because I would start a paper and it would be on topic, and they kind of teach you how to structure your paragraphs by the topic sentence, the closing sentence, and the things in between. I would start off on topic, and then somewhere in that first or second paragraph, I would go off on a tangent and then wouldn't bring it back around. And what they want you to do in English is they want you to bring it back around and constantly relate it to your thesis, which is just basically your, like, what the whole paper is about. Because I learned that in high school, I am able to fix that. So science was definitely one of those things I was super interested in, but only the things in science that I was interested in. But the things I'm interested in as far as science go are astrology, or like the cosmos, studying outer space, talking about planets, talking about black holes, especially black holes. I know so much about black holes, I don't even want to talk about it right now. Anything to do with outer space travel, not so much. I don't really care that much about SpaceX. Like, you would think I'd be really interested in that, but I'm not. Like, I just want to talk about black holes all day. We had so many, like, hands-on things. Like, we planted plants and we grew them under a UV light. We did lots of actual hands-on things, and I just loved it so much, because it was like every week we were doing something hands-on. When it came to opening a book and learning things, it's like my brain just shut off. Like, I was not interested in that stuff. Through the years, I did appreciate those teachers who talked about it. So there's a difference between, all right, class, I want Cynthia to read the first 2 paragraphs of this page. I'm just trying to be very real with you guys. I just did not care. But what I really liked was when the teachers were hands-on. They were writing on the board, they were drawing little pictures, and that's what engages me, especially when it's like a back and forth thing. Not that I'm the one back and forthing with the teacher, like talking, but when they're engaged with the class. And like for other autistic children, they may not want to be, like, they might just want to read. They don't want to be interacted with. So it really depends on your child. As far as retaining information, if you can make it interesting to your child, I promise you there's a higher chance that they will remember it. Of course, I'm gonna take this time to say thank you so much. I don't even know, like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I guess it's like these videos are very helpful, and it feels nice to not be alone. Thank you again to this person who suggested this video, and I hope that you have great success with your child. Have a great day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and bye.